All right, hello, welcome, welcome. We've still got a few people joining us today, but we are thrilled to have you. I'm going to go ahead and get started because we have a ton to cover. So I'm really excited to welcome you to the kickoff for Climate Catalyst 2025. My name is Jessica Wingert, and I am the program lead for ClimateCAP. And I'm joined today by my colleagues Katie Cross and Gabby Bennell, who are supporting our programming this week. A quick housekeeping note to kick us off. In all of our sessions, we will be utilizing the QA function to take your questions. So please feel free to put questions that you have at any time into the QA box, and we'll do our best to get to as many of them as possible. Please also feel free to introduce yourself, your name and your school in the chat if you'd like to start connecting with other MBAs, and hopefully you can find someone else who's maybe going to the program that you're going to and you haven't quite met yet. We are just absolutely thrilled to have you here with us today to discuss this incredibly important and timely topic. Back in 2020, Larry Fink said climate change has become a defining factor in companies' long-term prospects. And although some time has passed since then, I would argue that this is more true now than ever. You've all seen articles like this. Changes in our climate are causing material financial impacts on our communities and in the private sector, creating underappreciated risks, new challenges, commercial opportunities, and new ways of doing business. And as the world around us continues to change, it's become increasingly important that all MBA graduates, regardless of their role or industry, need to understand climate and its broader economic and social implications to succeed in their careers. From a corporate perspective, how much financial risk are we talking about here? From the 2023 CDP disclosure data, 5,500 companies reported over 5.4 trillion in climate-related financial risks. On the flip side, those same companies identified over 16 trillion in climate-related opportunities. This resoundingly showed that it's less costly for businesses to manage their risks than bear the potential financial impacts of those risks materializing. So let's talk a little bit more about the opportunities. A few months ago, I would have shown you a slide like this, or this, or this. But as you've probably noticed, the investment and market landscape for clean and climate technology has been heavily influenced by changing federal policies here in the US, and more uncertainty exists around the world in these sectors now than it ever did before. But in a recent survey by CTVC and Elemental Accelerator, two excellent resources if you aren't already following them, climate investors were asked how they were adapting their strategies in light of these new uncertainties, and you can see the answers here. The survey showed that companies still see significant business opportunities in climate, and they're pivoting to reduce their own risks by focusing on policy-proof business models. This work isn't going away, and the savvy companies and investors are adapting to the new market and regulatory forces. Interestingly, and potentially the most exciting for this group, in the same survey, companies were asked what was one of their biggest hurdles to achieve their business goals, and their response, the workforce. And that's where you all come in. As companies are facing these increasing pressures to assess and respond to climate-related risks and opportunities, the demand for climate-literate business leaders is growing rapidly. Fortunately, MBA students resoundingly want to be part of the solution. And at the end of this Climate Catalyst on Wednesday, I hope you take away the sense that there is urgent and very important climate work to be done by ambitious and engaged students like yourselves, and that there's a powerful community of change agents just like you, ready to support and empower you throughout your MBA and in your career. Which brings us to why we're here today. I'm really excited to hand this session over to Patrick Flynn in just a few minutes, where he will give you his personal and professional take on why and how future business leaders should think about climate impacts. But I'm going to take a second to briefly introduce ClimateCAP, since almost all of you are new to our community and program. We were founded with the mission to prepare tomorrow's business leaders, that's you all, today's MBAs, to understand and respond to the climate challenge by mainstreaming the climate conversation in business schools. ClimateCAP was founded and is led by us here at Fuqua, but we are a global partnership of 49 business schools. We work really closely with the staff and faculty at those schools on a number of different initiatives, which I'll briefly walk through now. We're so proud to partner with these 49 incredible programs. Educators across these schools are working together to share their best practices, develop new teaching resources, and collaborate on events. We're grateful for the participation of all of these schools. And if you don't see your school listed here and you're interested in learning more about becoming a partner school, please reach out to us at climatecap@duke.edu. Our MBA Summit is our flagship event every year, bringing together over 400 MBAs from around the world to network and learn about climate and business. Our most recent summit was hosted by UC Berkeley Haas in February, and you can see the agenda, speakers, and session recordings from the Haas Summit on our website, as well as for all of our other past summits. We're thrilled that the 2026 MBA Summit will be hosted by MIT Sloan on April 16th and 17th. There's really no other event like this for MBAs interested in climate to come together and learn and meet each other in person. So hopefully you maybe would come and meet some of the people you met during Climate Catalyst this week. Make sure you're on our mailing list so you can learn more about the ticketing process later this year, because the event typically does sell out within hours. We'll also be releasing information about the agenda, speakers, and overall programming over the next few months. The next program I wanted to highlight is our ClimateCAP MBA Fellowship, a year-long immersive experience that empowers a select group of MBAs to become the next generation of climate leaders and change makers. Key elements of the fellowship include learning and development sessions, networking, and self-directed project work, where students design and implement a climate action project. Throughout the fellowship, students receive mentorship and also attend cohort building activities virtually. Now in our third cohort, you can learn about our current fellows and previous cohorts on our website, as well as overall program information. And then in addition to our in-person events, like the ones we have at New York Climate Week and the MBA Summit, there's a number of live and recorded virtual learning resources available to you on our website. So recordings of the MBA Academy series are available, covering topics from the MBA founder's journey to the role of the CFO in accelerating sustainable business to using your MBA to get the climate career you want. Future MBA Academy sessions will be advertised through our website and newsletter. And if you didn't attend our session, Integrating Climate into Your MBA back in May, definitely check out the recording to hear directly from business educators from 12 top MBA programs about the ways that you can build your skills and climate expertise during your MBA and prepare yourself for the business career that you want. On the more career-focused side, there's also a recording that ClimateCAP co-founder Katie Cross gave through Tara's Climate Career Week earlier this spring about MBA careers in climate that contains a ton of great resources and recommendations as well. And we all know how impactful it can be for you to find your community of people who have similar interests as you. And in business school, that's equally true, especially as it pertains to job searches and career aspirations. Climate Connect meetups are a great way to find your community outside of your own program. And these connections that you make with MBAs throughout your academic journey will continue to support you throughout your career. Past Climate Connect sessions have been held for regional networking, industry and career interests, for students attending the summit, and based on where people would be spending their summers. Be on the lookout for more Climate Connect signups throughout the coming year to build your communities. And our final program to mention is the one that brought you here today. So Climate Catalyst is designed to help you build a foundational understanding of the climate issues and their relevance to MBAs at the very start of your program. Each session is its own event, so you're welcome to drop in and out for any sessions that work for you, or you can attend them all. Feel free to share this with your classmates and friends, and we definitely welcome the climate curious. Students don't have to have any previous background in these topics, and they don't have to intend to work in a climate career in order to be able to gain something from these sessions. It's going to be a great few days, and we're really excited to have you here. Lastly, before I turn it over to Patrick, I want to thank our sponsors who have made it Climate Catalyst possible. You can learn more about these organizations and their critical climate work through the links on our website. But now to the reason that you're here, and that's to hear from Patrick Flynn. We've shared Patrick's full bio on the registration page, so I'm thrilled to turn the session over to him. Patrick?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Gabby, and all the organizers, all of the speakers, and most importantly, thanks to all of you for joining. It was 15 years ago or so that I was sitting in your shoes, and if I had a time machine, I'd be right alongside you joining into this. After business school, I went and led sustainability for a data center company and then led sustainability at Salesforce for many years. And now I'm running a small organization I started called Switchboard that's all about connecting the business world's most influential climate leaders to one another, to the movements that need their support, to the startups that need an early adopter. I'm thrilled to be here with you. And what we're going to do today is talk in 3 sections. We're going to start with a little bit of advice, given that I was in your shoes, what feels like just yesterday. We'll break that into 3 main points. Then I'm going to ground us a bit in this epic moment that we find ourselves alive during. And finally, hope to give you a little bit of advice on trying to create a career oriented towards impact. Before we dive in, maybe one of the best things about tying your career to impact are the amazing people you meet along the way. All of the smiling faces here who are working maybe at a different company, maybe at a competitor, but all actually working for some greater good. And the willingness to open up and help one another is a tremendous joy, but also a real career accelerant. So don't overlook all of that. So first piece of advice is to be intentional with your time as you enter into your MBA program. I had these foolish visions of free time and soul searching, and I literally thought I was going to find the time to learn to play the drums during my MBA program. And what happens is this roller coaster fire hose of work and academics, but also amazing people you need to meet and clubs, and you'll be full throttle busy. And so make sure you're intentional with how you want to spend your time. You're paying experts to put wisdom into your head and surround you with amazing leaders who you will know for the rest of your lives. Take the opportunity to lean into classes or extracurriculars that get you what you need. Second point is the importance of communication. My main need that I felt back then was to be a better public speaker. The thought of talking to you all like this back then would have terrified me for months. And so while doing all of the other MBA curriculum, I raised my hand to be the student that had to deliver the class presentation at the end of the course, or to give the speech to welcome people to the happy hour. And some of them I crashed and burned, but I knew that the MBA program was a relatively consequence-free environment to exercise and lean in where you need to get stronger for your career. Communication is everywhere, everything, of course. So I'd highly recommend thinking about that, written and verbal. But whatever your muscle group is that you know you want to exercise and maybe have a little bit of intimidation about not being as good at it as you'd like, treat the MBA program as a way to brush up on finance, communication, legal, marketing, whatever, but do it intentionally. And finally, think about your superpower, your individual superpower. The world needs brilliant you to help it. And that's a little bit about understanding what you love to do, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. Don't lose sight of who you are. We need everyone to do what they do best to help this planet. Speaking of which, what a crazy time to be alive. 2025 on planet Earth. Buckminster Fuller talks about it as a spaceship so ingeniously designed that no one even knows we're on one. And it's incredibly small too. The universe has so many stars and Earth-like planets orbiting those stars that there are many Earth-like planets for every single grain of sand on every beach on planet Earth. We are this speck of dust in the middle of the darkness, and you are alive at a time when a lot of help is needed. So thank you. It's also an incredibly fleeting moment that we find ourselves together. 13.8 billion years of galactic history as we can observe. If you stretch that time over a calendar year, then you can develop the cosmic calendar, which is this fun GIF that you're looking at here. Dinosaurs arrived not until December 25th. And the amount of greenhouse gas emissions that have really accelerated in the last century or so all takes place on December 31st at 11:59 p.m. and 59.9 seconds. We are here in this modern era in the last 10th of a second of cosmic history. And while that's all happening over these last 15 or so years, the dashboard inside of spaceship Earth is lighting up like a Christmas tree with alarm signals. Even since I was at business school at MIT in 2010, we had only crossed 3 planetary boundaries. This is a framework, as you can tell, looking at things like climate change, ozone, ocean acidification, and that dotted line's inner circle is what the leading scientists on Earth know is a livable boundary, that we haven't pushed anything into distress. And 15 years, 14 years go by, and now we have multiple issue areas, blinking red alarms that we need to address. It's all going to happen in your lifetime. The quote that I don't know who to attribute to, we are the first generation to know this and the last generation that can do something material about it. So we need your help. And finally, section 3, 3 different ideas related to a career in impact. I want to start with the concept of a career North Star. For me, by the time I left business school, and since then, my singular career goal has been maximum impact on climate change in my lifetime. Yours may be about human health or justice or biodiversity, but find a big, stable metric to orient towards, because careers are going to be long and meandering. 2 generations ago, the idea of a career was join a big company and work your butt off and move your way up the ladder over 30, 40, 50 years. It's a totally different world we live in now, especially so in impact. Katie Cross, one of our hosts here, has a 2x2 matrix that will show traditional company and sustainability company, traditional role and sustainability role, and your career will meander all around that attribute space as you try to have the greatest impact you can. And that's a background maneuver. It's a forcing function to accelerate your career, because you will be jumping, not waiting in line on a ladder, jumping to something new where you see an incredible opportunity, learning something new, and almost tacking up wind as you make your career progress happen. So find a North Star that you know is not going anywhere for a long time, that serves a greater good, and figure out how you can, whether in a traditional or sustainability-oriented role, whether in a traditional company or a sustainability-oriented company, can make a big difference. To do that, you need to find a boulder, something with a ton of potential for change that's just waiting to get nudged. A lot of sustainability jobs are a little bit more about getting the work done. We need you not just to land a job in sustainability or impact, but to hunt for the catalytic change that you see you can create, that your company can create. It could happen in the supply chain. It could be about influencing customers. It could be in policy. Find the moments where you can set something into motion. And it may take a journey to get there. You may land that first job and not have a mandate to create catalytic big change inside your company. You need to meet the people who are in the meetings that have the agency to make that type of change, get to understand who they are, how they think. I would always tell my old team, you need to know the person's dog's name before you ever ask them for anything. Really meet people. Ask them about their love for nature, or, anything that gets them drawn to planetary impact, and really develop a personal relationship with them. Then you can use those relationships and the influence and the trust that you've built to create big change. And so finally, third point in career impact is think about business school and your whole career as a journey to build out your own toolbox. when I was at business school, I had already figured out that marketing was not for me, but I knew I didn't know a lot about marketing. So I took a marketing class, at least to understand the ways of thinking, the mental models, the frameworks that that team uses. I had already realized that I was never going to be in that role, but I was going to need to communicate with them in a way that built a lot of trust. Tools of communication, tools of the different units inside of business, finance, law. This MBA program you're about to embark on is full of ways for you to grab those deep truths, deep understandings, and frameworks of how business works. Some of them you will want to master. Others of them you just need to have deep familiarity with when you go on that journey of stakeholder engagement and need to start understanding how to create change in your company. In closing, I just would like to come back and share with you again what we chatted about. Some advice: be intentional with your time. It's going to get busy and it's beautiful, but think about the things you can opt into, even on the margin inside a given assignment, that can push yourself to where you need greater strength. Practice communication, or your version of communication. You're in a consequence-free environment of high caliber students for a couple of years with professional help. Take a risk, learn something new, get good at something that maybe in your heart you know you really wish you were a little bit better at, and find your superpower, what you love to do that lines up with what the world needs and you can get paid for, and what you're good at. Next, we talked a little bit about the epic context that we have found ourselves as teammates on planet Earth here. Only 110 billion people have ever lived. And of the 8 billion people today, a large portion don't have reliable electricity, let alone internet. You and I are here, capable, top-notch, top caliber students, inclined to make impact. There is no other separate awesome team halfway around the world having this type of meeting. Like, you are the team. The planet is counting on you. And finally, develop your own personal North Star, something that's not going anywhere for a long time that you can use as you make career choices and navigate towards. When you're in a role, don't just chop wood and carry water. Don't just get the job done. Find the big, fast change that planet needs and get to work playing the internal chess to make that big change happen, and develop the skills needed and the personal relationships to set those in motion. I wish you the very best of luck, and I'll end with a Paul Hawken quote from, you should read this. Anytime I need to recharge the batteries, I look up Paul Hawken's commencement address to the University of Portland in 2009, and it's full of gems. But the final one is to remember that you are brilliant and the earth is hiring.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Patrick, for that. I wish I had heard that talk when I was starting my MBA journey many years ago as well. We have a couple questions I want to ask on behalf of the audience. And as a reminder, anyone who has any questions for Patrick, please feel free to enter it into the QA. But the first question is, what advice would you give to someone looking to work somewhere in the sustainability space but has no prior work experience in the area?
Right. I think you're probably thinking corporate sustainability, big company sustainability. You can chat if I have that wrong. I would definitely encourage you, if you're thinking about going into business in order to change it, like I have done and like I chose to do, you need to be really good at business, like black and white 50-year ago Milton Friedman type business. You need to really understand that. And so good for you for being in an MBA program. Add the climate and sustainability, system dynamics, change management, organizational process, add all of that flavor to it. But you need to speak like an accountant. You need to speak like a salesperson. You'll need to understand law and marketing and customers. So the best way to be the most effective company change maker for sustainability is to not lose sight of the fact that you need to be the best business leader that you possibly can be. And then plenty of job board, like literally tactically finding the job. Plenty of job boards out there. There's a lot of, reporting and retroactive analysis needed. I feel like there are more jobs in sustainability that have a lot to do with looking in the rear view mirror and doing last year's math on how it went. I would say find a job that maybe you have to start there, but find a job where part of the mandate is, and we have these forward goals. We need to understand where we've been and how to use that data to change, but we've got forward ambition. And I need your help to figure out how we change this company from within.
Great, thank you. Going back to something you said earlier about the extent of the climate crisis that we are facing, how do you stay grounded and optimistic given the scale?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I think for some of you, you are gonna hit some of the emotional turmoil that I hit a while ago. The common phrase I think of is pre-traumatic stress disorder. We're all looking at this slow motion train wreck happening without access to the emergency brakes, and it's pretty heavy. The balance is always that the people you meet along the way who are with you are like, let's go get that brake lever, like, let's do this. So there's a lot of bright to it as well, but it is heavy. For me, I've at some point stopped reading the latest science on just how darn bad it's all going. Like, I know it's going really bad. I've already committed my career. So I'm not the person you even ask, like, is it going to be 3.1 degrees? Like, I don't know. But I know it's bad enough that I need to give everything I can to try to address it. And I know that every 10th of a degree matters. And I know some things in front of me to do the rest of the day today, including speaking here, that I think can deliver towards that goal of maximum impact on climate. And so maybe it's a little bit of compartmentalization. Like, it's really bad, and there's amazing people to do fantastic, brilliant work with. And so while it's bad, also I can get excited about innovating and finding new opportunities.
Great, thank you. I'll ask one more quick question, rapid fire. What is one trend within the climate and business space that you think that we should be paying attention to, that you think other organizations are not paying attention to or overlooking?
Oh, well, thank you. I think first I'll just say the context you find yourself in, especially in the United States, like if there are headwinds and tailwinds to corporate sustainability, we right now are in a moment of layers of headwind, political politicization, economic headwinds, uncertainty, changing regulation. Like, there's a lot. So one contextual thing to make sure you know is many businesses in the face of that have retreated their environmental strategies to really being about it had better make good business sense, right? And for some, even in the context of, man, you better show me in that spreadsheet that this is a winner in black and white, there are still huge opportunities for clean energy and storage and electrified vehicles and changes to regenerative agriculture. Like, there's a lot happening even in that. But as you're thinking about careers to pick and where to land ahead, make sure you have a context with a very strong business case. Maybe even if the big boulder, the big swing of an upside that you see for that organization is a little bit more of a heart, mind, squishier math behind it, you still are going to want to have the safety of a place. The things I'm most excited about right now all have to do with financed emissions. And that generally this is about companies speaking to their financial suppliers the same way that we've learned for years now. We've honed the skill of talking to our electricity supplier and telling them we want more, better, clean, cheaper, faster, more reliable. We got really good at speaking to data center providers, and we want them to be clean energy powered and follow the sun and low embedded carbon emissions. But somehow speaking to one's bank because it's not a procurement relationship, it's a treasury relationship, is kind of a blind spot. Same goes for collective action for the insurance industry and getting my carrier or my broker of record to advocate for better insurance policies and stop underwriting oil and gas. And then the final one is in retirement plans. You all, just like I did, like day one of your first job, set up a 401k and just clicked like the whatever date fund, and it's like 30% in fossil fuel. And so even though I like, whether or not, speaking not from a moral thing, financially, at the decades time scale that I'm thinking about needing that money, I think a climate aligned financial portfolio is going to be way better than one that's undermining and also staying invested in the industries that are going away. And so getting companies to add, not mandate, but add an option for a climate aligned for.
Awesome.
I am on your team. I'm here to help you help the planet for the rest of your career any way I can.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Patrick. And I just want to wrap up. Patrick, what an inspirational kickoff to start us on this Climate Catalyst week. Thank you for sharing your perspective with us today and setting that context for the importance and impact that each of these students can have in their careers. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. What an honor. Thank you, everybody. You rock.
I'd also like to thank our attendees for joining us. As a reminder, there's many different ways that you can get involved with ClimateCAP after Climate Catalyst, so make sure you're signed up for our newsletter to stay up to date on all of our events. And lastly, I want to highlight our next two sessions. We have Climate Science for MBAs up next in about 13 minutes, featuring Berkeley Haas professor Drew Isaacs, followed by the decarbonization landscape with Harvard Business School professor Mike Toppel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. And if you aren't registered for those, you can always register at the website below, Luma/Climate Catalyst. Thanks again for being here, and we'll see you soon.